Hey guys, it's Mike Monty, one half of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. And we want to reach out to all the fans out there who have supported our show to say thank you. Thank you for making 2021 one of our best years. And one of our best years was because of Anchor. Anchor, the way that you can have your voice heard. You can be just like us. Record your own podcast. Use the Anchor tools to edit your podcast. Use it on a phone. Use it on your computer. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all with Anchor, they're totally free. So be just like Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh. We're looking together for a great 2022. We've got huge guests coming on board. Oh, yeah. You probably wonder why Jimmy's not here right now. Well, he's prepping for one of the best interviews we're about to have, and we're going to surprise someone with. So hang aboard with us, and don't forget, be like us and use Anchor.
How many times do I have to repeat this to you? I'm sick and tired. What the hell's that?
I don't know.
I think somebody's at the door. Hey.
You can't even film stuff without people knocking.
Well, you know, that's the way of the world. Who is it?
But don't start personally insulting me.
Huh?
But don't start personally insulting me.
Hannibal! Ah! Oh, no! Not that way! There!
All right, welcome to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Monty and the Pharaoh, filmed only here out of Indie Music TV. It is Thursday. It is 9 p.m. And we'll welcome everybody aboard on what we're going to call the Monty and the Pharaoh Marathon. And this is the first leg.
Yeah, this is the first leg. The rest of the turkey comes on Saturday when you start drinking.
At the board is Matty Ice, super producer. Matty, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah?
I mean, work's a little stressful, but besides that, you know.
Did you tell people out there that you're getting different types of pays for different types of jobs?
Wow. Yeah, I'm wearing 3 hats and
3 hats.
Yeah, three different jobs in my company right now.
Interesting.
And one of them pays less, and I have to deal with it until they find someone new.
I never heard of such a thing.
Wait a second. What is it? Like on certain days you do one of the 3 jobs and it pays you less than on another particular day?
No, I just have to make sure both jobs are done by the end of the every day.
Interesting. 3 jobs, 1 paycheck. I don't know if that's well, I guess. Wait a minute. There's nothing unoriginal about that.
I never heard of that before in my entire life.
Different department.
I think it's illegal, dude, to be honest with you, but,
Wow, that's weird.
that's me. What the hell?
I
do I
got
know?
whatever. Matt's prospering. Let him prosper.
So anyway, we're going to talk a little world news. I guess it's world news. It's really not because it's got wrestling involved in it, but, I mean, we really should talk about the presidential...
The what?
the what?
The presidential what?
Addressing the union.
Oh, the State of the Union.
The State of the Union.
Oh, okay.
But I don't want to get into it because I just was getting really mad, so I really don't want to get
You've been
mad.
kind of really mad all day. Leave me alone. Next.
Dude, watching
What?
Pelosi
Yeah.
back there,
Pelosi?
oh,
Wait a minute. She's still around?
oh yeah,
They didn't put
devil
her in
horns and on.
Wait a minute. They didn't put her in a sarcophagus and mail it to Egypt
Sarcophagus?
to lie with the pharaohs? She's like 7,000 years old. She's still alive. Wow.
please.
I thought she had gone away. Interesting. So she's still around. Okay.
Anyway,
That's
Glenn
nice.
Jacobs, you know who Glenn Jacobs is, right?
Yeah, sure.
Went
sure.
to Twitter,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
got all in trouble for
What did he
tweeting
do?
something.
What did he do?
So
Hellfire
I'll
and
read what he
brimstone?
wrote. He wrote,
Hellfire and
historically, in the real world, might makes right.
Yeah.
Weakness, which is really what the left is all about, is not a virtue. It's a fatal character flaw. And no, the U.S. should still not get involved.
Right.
He also added,
Right.
I highly doubt Putin cares a whit about toxic masculinity,
Right.
the cancel culture, or any of the other things the radical left stands for.
Wow.
What do you think?
Well, okay. Historically, in the real world, might makes right, correct. Weakness, which is really what the left is about. Interesting opinion. Definitely not going to assassinate him for having that thought. It's his right. And, okay. U.S. should still not get involved. Wow, that's a very interesting point. Dude, should we really care what happens over there? As far as what's going on with the Ukraine? I mean, I actually don't think it's so cool what's going on over there, but at the same time, should we be involved?
Good question.
I don't know.
Will it make the gas prices go down? Will it make the food prices go down?
Yeah, they'll probably find a way to jack everything up anyway, right?
War usually brings those prices down, right?
Do they bring those prices down?
Historically, right? You always got to turn to history. That's why you learn about history, right?
So this is what bombs away really means?
Bombs away means lower prices.
Oh, okay. All right.
Anyway, Adam Page, the AEW
Wait a
champion,
minute.
responded to Glenn Jacobs'
Oh no.
tweet
Oh wow.
with a bunch of gifs of 10 ruthless chair shots Kane took to the head.
Nice. All right. So what does that mean? Adam Page is progressive, and
I guess Adam Page is saying that Kane's taking too many headshots.
he's out of his mind. Well, do you disagree with what Kane said?
What I do.
I mean,
I
it's
don't-
his opinion. I don't know if I fully disagree with what Kane said.
Well, let me
there's a
ask-
few things that made sense.
Let me ask you this question,
This is
right?
strange.
So for the last 20 years or 15 years, right,
Yeah.
this country's been in an uproar about disarming,
Uh-huh.
right, and getting rid of the Second Amendment, right, or right to bear arms.
Sure. Right.
We've been going through that.
Right.
So, if you're the Ukraine
Mm-hmm.
and Russia comes marching through your door,
Yeah.
and had the mindset of disarming your people,
Might have been a mistake to think that way.
right? Now you got now all these great Ukrainians who are fighting back would
Right.
have nothing to fight against. So
Right.
maybe we should think twice about getting rid of the Second Amendment. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I do believe that people have a right to bear arms, if that's what you're getting at.
Well, it's part of the amendment.
I
right?
mean, for God's sakes, what are we talking about here? You know, it's each individual's personal responsibility to know what to do with that free right, you know? And I don't think you should have the right to take that away from somebody. You do have the right to protect yourself. And for those of people out there who think that, you know, everybody should just hand over their guns, you got some balls deciding how somebody else should protect their children. How about shut the fuck up? What works for you works for you, and what works for them works for them. And hopefully you're not living next door to a gun-happy maniac, you know? I don't know what to tell you.
802 says $4 a gallon in Vermont. Maria Davis, 418 up
That's
in
insane.
Pennsylvania.
That's insane. But this is the People's Party, though, in the office, isn't it? Aren't they for the people? Wasn't that the whole, you know, bill of sales during the last.
No, before we get,
What's in
listen,
it?
I really, you know what? I don't even know why I brought it up because
You want to get me pissed off. Go
I'm
ahead.
pissed off.
Well, I know
I'm
you're pissed
off. I
right.
am pissed
Well, then
off.
tell us why Mr. Monty is pissed off. Go ahead.
I just can't believe what's going on right now.
Right.
And you know what? I don't want to offend people.
Aren't you glad
and
you served? When
Anyway.
you see this shit.
To make it worse,
Yeah, must be thrilled.
WWE names the Fitterman Sports Group as their official autograph partner.
The who?
The WWE.
No, I got that.
Fitterman Sports.
Fitterman. All right.
WWE announced today the multi-year agreement that will make Fitterman Sports Group and the official autograph partner of the WWE in the United States and Canada. This is the first partnership of its kind in the autograph space. So,
Okay.
you know what this means?
What does this mean?
Guys like the agents that bring some of these wrestlers in here, things like that,
Yeah.
they ain't going to... This may all be changing.
Wow.
Think about it. A guy like Tony Atlas, who might be signed to a Legends contract,
Yeah.
from now on to get his bookings,
Yeah.
it has to go through the Fitterman Group.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Have you called these very nice people?
The Fitterman Group?
Yeah, the Fitterman Group. You're gonna call them?
No, I'm not
I'm
calling the
just
Fit-
fucking
I'm
with
not
you.
calling the Fitterman Group.
1-800-Fitterman.
Could you imagine?
Wait a minute, though. What does this mean, though? Come over here. Where do you think you're going? What does this mean, though? I mean,
What it means is
what
that
about
if you
all the
want,
people
if
that
you
come
want,
through these doors? Though? What if they?
if you wanted,
you better call
Pat
Fitterman.
McAfee interviewed Vince McMahon,
Yeah.
right? Or Brock Lesnar. If you
Yeah.
wanted to interview Brock Lesnar, you have to call the Fitterman Group.
You got to call the Fittermans.
Well, guess what?
I'll tell you what. It's probably easier than calling Vince because Vince
If you
would be
wanted
like,
it,
Who's
if
this?
you want, like the big events got the Undertaker, they
Yeah.
just announced him
Yeah.
like the week before,
Yeah.
days before,
Okay.
right? Because the event's Saturday,
All right.
right?
Yeah.
If you want the Undertaker, you got to go through the Fitterman Group.
Fitterman.
And the Fitterman Group, who paid $10 million for this deal, it's got to get their money back, right?
Oh, they'll get their
So,
money
well,
back.
you think they'll get their money back?
In the long haul?
I don't know.
You don't think so?
To the right is the star of the show, Mr. Jimmy Farrow. Jimmy,
Yeah.
this is the first leg of the marathon. We're going to have our
Yeah.
special guest, Big Ron Shaw.
Yeah. I don't know if we're going to survive this marathon.
It's a long
I
marathon.
come five,
Well, it starts with Big Ron
five
Shaw.
shows in a row.
Well, we'll see.
Are you serious?
I'd like to thank the band that sings the theme song for the Monty and the Farrow Show, our own Jimmy Farrow, along with his partner Bart Griggs, make the band Wisteria Hall. Wisteria Hall sings such great songs as In My Dreams, This Life, Not Far Behind, Here Comes the Rain. You can find their music on the Wisteria Hall YouTube page. Hit like and subscribe. Spotify, iTunes, and Reverb Nation. I want to ask the fans out there, we have been chosen from YouTube to be the first YouTube page, or one of the first YouTube pages to be part of their music program.
Okay.
So you could start using YouTube music. B40, welcome, my friend.
Hey, yo.
Might be the end of Wisteria Hall on the Monty and the Farrow page. What do you
What,
think?
what do you mean, the end of the Mysterio? What the fuck does that mean? On the Monty and the Farrow
I
page?
have to use the YouTube music.
Oh, you're going to move us over to Monty? Oh, you're going to use YouTube music instead of my music? Well, I never. Oh, well, whatever.
Monty
It
and
was
Farrow
fun,
can be
folks.
seen on the Monty and the Farrow
Oy.
YouTube page, the Monty and the Farrow Facebook Live. Just think about that.
Yeah.
If YouTube comes out with like a co-host, a co-host program, I might have to use that.
A co-host program. Go fuck yourself as pleasantly as I can possibly say it. Next.
Wow.
Yeah,
Hear us on
yeah,
iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Anchor. Catch us on the Monty and the Farrow Twitch TV
Good.
page.
Matt,
And
you're
if
showing him, right?
And if you're lucky, if you're lucky to live in New York, you can catch us on New York Cable on channel 115 every Tuesday at 9:30 and Saturday at 11:30 against Saturday Night Live
mention
and
the 1
channel
o'clock
20
slot for idiots like
Tuesday
me?
at 1 a.m. in the
Yeah,
morning,
for idiots who
where
don't
you will
sleep.
get the reduced version
Yeah.
of this.
It's not
interview with
reduced.
the great
It's abbreviated.
With the
it's
great-
condensed.
Ron Shaw.
Reduced.
We also want to thank all the partnerships for allowing this program to be the
Big
number
Ron Shaw to
8,
you. What?
number 8
Number 8.
most watched wrestling
Not Munson?
podcast.
Oh, never mind.
Anyway, but we'll be right back with pro wrestling superstar Ron Shaw after this. Got nothing to say.
No.
Okay.
Hey folks, this is Wolfie D here, and if you are looking to buy or sell a home in Tennessee or Southern Kentucky, you're going to want to call my buddy, the rock star realtor, Benji Bowie. And you say, Wolfie, how do I get in touch with this rock star? Well, you can call him directly at 615-390-8216. You can go to his website, bowiehomes.com. That's B-U-I-E homes.com. Or you can email him at benbuie34@gmail.com. BENBUIE34@gmail.com. When you need a home, you need the Rockstar Realtor. Tell him Wolfie sent you. Benji is a member of Exit Realty's Garden Gate team in Gallatin, Tennessee.
Jeff Quest, graphics design, custom vinyl lettering, and all your art and video needs. 516-317-8204. That's for Jeff Quest, graphic design.
Jimmy, I just got the best hookup on tickets.
Fill me in.
I went to www.seatslinks.com and ordered the best tickets with the best prices.
Call 718-676-0504. SeatsLink, the complete ticket experience.
Tell them Charles sent you. Welcome to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Monty Nefaro, only filmed here out of Indie Music TV. Want to thank everybody for joining us. We are humbled as we're going into a fantastic long weekend, but we're starting off with one of your favorites.
Yeah.
Big Ron Shaw. Ron, how are you, buddy?
Hey, guys. Yes, thank you very much for inviting me to the show. But you know something, right out of the gate, I have to say something here. You know, I've been aware of your show, and it happens to be the most controversial wrestling show, and if not the only controversial wrestling show that I have viewed. And I did see your show last week. And you know something, Monty, I needed to call you, and you know, you guys did call me to come on your show. But you know something, when we were talking, I needed to lay down some ground rules. And, you know, some of the questions that you said that you were going to ask me on this show tonight, it just wasn't appropriate to me. I didn't want to do it. But you were insisting on it. And I'll tell you something, I had to hang up on you. Now, your listeners ought to know one thing. Why did you lie? I hung up on you. Are you afraid to admit that? Now, when I hung up on you 3 days later, the Pharaoh gives me a call. And he says, Big Ron, we want you on the show. We worked everything out. We want you on the show. And I called you up. I said, okay, I'll be happy to do the show. But you know, another thing, Monty, one thing you said, well, I don't care to have Ron Shaw on the show. You know, he's been on other wrestling shows. I don't care. You know, I won't chase him down or nothing like that. Let me tell you something right now. In front of you, I am the only person, past, present, and future, who's got the most upsets in professional wrestling. Let me repeat myself. I've got the most upsets in professional wrestling. And that's something that the WWE has put me in. Their big sports books of entertainment, their history books of the Big 50. I'm in the history books of professional wrestling because of that. Okay?
So, Ron, I'm going to respectfully...
Hey, shut up. I'm not done talking yet.
Whoa.
Are you fucking
Just
kidding me?
shut
What's going
up.
on here?
Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Easy, bro.
Yo, Ron, wait, hold on, Ron.
I had to go through to get on your show, Monty. You shut up and you just listen to me. I never had to go through stuff like this before on other shows. I've been on 15 shows in the last 7 years, and these five wrestling shows, yours is the one that gave me the most problems. I want to be asked decent questions throughout this whole entire show.
Has he seen our show?
Well, dude, listen, Ron, okay, I'm going to say this again. Understand that I don't think I lied to you, and if you're gonna do our show, and I'm saying this respectfully, I'm gonna ask questions. We're gonna ask questions, and you're gonna have to. You'll either answer them or don't answer them. I'm okay with that. Look, I don't want any issues, dude. We try to respect guys your level, but understand something that this is my show. Okay.
This is our show.
And our show. But if you're gonna, look, dude, here's the deal. Yeah, you're right. I really look, with all due respect, you're a legend in the business. I get it, whatever else. But again, I'm not going to retread all the garbage that's been out there already, right? We've heard the story already. And look, dude, show me the respect I'm trying to show you. That's all I'm trying to say to you.
That's fair.
Is that fair?
That's fair.
I gave you the respect. I gave you the respect when I called you and I talked to you and I said, let's do this show a sophisticated way. No trash talk, nothing like this. Let's not talk about other issues I've talked on 14 other shows, because there's other issues to talk about with Big Ron Shaw.
Well, go ahead, buddy. This is your guy.
This
is the guy you wanted on the show,
Yeah.
so have at it.
Well,
so, Ron, I'll tell you what. I'll sit back and I'll let the Pharaoh interview you since you can't seem to handle
I don't think
the questions I got to
don't
have.
think that's necessary.
I've got no problem with that. The Pharaoh seems like he's a decent guy, decent level-headed guy. We talked on the phone, man, and I have to totally respect the Pharaoh.
Well, Ron, I thank you for that. But,
Wow.
Look,
Right?
I don't want to get off to a bad start. I really don't. The listeners don't want to hear us arguing. They want to hear informative wrestling news and what happens in the past and so forth. So let's get on with the interview.
Ron, respectfully though, we talked earlier in the week, and you know what kind of show we do have, and I thank you again for coming on. Mike, are you cool? You all right? I mean, I didn't expect.
Go ahead.
I just didn't expect it for him to. I'm just surprised he brought it up again.
Go ahead.
We had talked during the week, but all right. Looks like it's up to me. I'll take my unicycle and give it a.
I have some special news that I want to present out there to break on your show. Something that's really, really exciting in my wrestling career, towards the end of my wrestling career.
Shoot.
And may I announce it?
Yes, please. Shoot.
Okay. Well, number one, I had a promoter call me and wants to bring me down to New York for a convention and some appearances for about a weekend, 3 days, and so forth. And I haven't exactly accepted yet. I may have other commitments, but it's not impossible that I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to say that yet. The other big news is that I was contacted by the International Wrestling Federation Hall of Fame in Boston, and the two administrators, Victor Soegastoa, excuse me, who was a worker at the time. He worked as Vic Vicious throughout Mexico and Canada, and the other person, Brittany Brown, who was the International Wrestling Federation Women's Champion for a year. The administrators, they invited me to come up later this summer for the Hall of Fame reunion dinner and to induct me into the Hall of Fame. And, you know, some of the big names in there is John Studd, Nikolai Volkov, Killer Kowalski, Sebastian Booger, King Kong Bundy, Iron Mike Sharp, and the list goes on and on. So that's a heavy, heavy bunch of names there, and I will be so delighted. It hasn't happened yet. I'm going up later this summer, but I've been asked to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I'm really thrilled about that.
How's that make you feel? I mean, did you ever think you would not only just be remembered, but get that sort of accolade all these years later?
No, I never thought that. You know, when it was 3 years ago, when the WWE put me in the history books because of my upsets and my match in Madison Square Garden on the brawl to end it all, I thought that was enough. I never even thought about the Hall of Fame. Okay, but there are 3 Hall of Fames out there that are recognized. Of course, WWE, IWF, and I think the Universal Wrestling Federation. So, you know, these are 3 heavyweights right there.
Ron, did it ever bother you that you never got further on the card? You were clearly bigger than some of the people you were putting over. Did that ever get in the way of your professionalism towards what you were asked to do with the company?
Well, here's what you had to understand, is when I was leaving Kowalski School, there was another week left of my training, and I asked Kowalski, I said, Walter, how am I doing? He says, you're doing great, Ron. I said, well, good. I said, I'm leaving after next week. My 16 weeks is up. I'd like to go to work for the WWF. Now, I could have said anything else. I'd like to go here, I'd like to go there. But I knew where the money was. And when I started out, you know, they took me in pretty much 2 months after I started getting bookings already. And you have to understand what professional wrestling is. It's like any other job. You're hired for a position. and it's up to you to show your bosses that you want to move up in the company. And I did. And what I did was very well done. That's why I was used all the time. I mean, I just didn't work for the WWE. You know, I did international wrestling for 2 years. Then in '86 was one of my busiest years. I was still working for WWE, but I went up to Montreal, Canada to work for Dino Bravo, and Rick Martel was even up there. And then I was working for Crockett Promotions a little bit here and there. And that was one of my toughest years of traveling and trying to make all the commitments that I had. But they knew Ron Shaw was a top worker in the business, and if that was my job to make people look good, no matter what size, that's what I did.
Ron, you were around during the time that Eddie Mansfield was around. Any thoughts on when he had the balls to expose the business? And it was way before the infamous curtain call with the click at the Garden. Any thoughts on having the lid ripped off of, the sport we all love?
Well, the Pharaoh, man, that's a great question. The 14 shows that I've been on, nobody's ever asked me that question. And, what I thought about it at the time is there was a great reporter in Philadelphia from the Philadelphia Inquirer newspaper, and they asked me, hey, they're doing a story here on this guy, and I'd never heard of him, okay? He's exposing the business, and what do you think of it? So they came over to my house. They took pictures, and this was over a period of a week, because this was a nationwide story that went for 6, maybe even 5, 6 days, I'm sure, anyway. And it was bits and pieces of this article, but they relied on me heavily. And I've got those news stories up on my website and so forth. And what I had always said is I had to protect the business. So when he said that, when Eddie Mansfield had told the reporter, well, no, we're told when to lose, how long, or when to win, and so forth, etc. And I would come back and say, well, that's not so, because the winners get paid more than the losers. So you're always trying to win your match. And of course, I had to protect the business. And, months or so after that story aired, even Gorilla Monsoon, Arnold Skull, said, hey, man, you did a good job protecting the business, because that's what it was about. We always wanted to make this business look legitimate as possible. And I certainly did. And, I understand his gripe. He's getting paid $35 or $50 for a match and having to use the blade and all that. But he was working for small companies. They were the small companies. I don't even know. They've been going so long. And this is why I wanted to go to the WWF. Took my chances, and I started making great money. I mean, especially in 1981, when they hired me in '80 to come up to do TV, I was making great money because also I was working as the executioner and Ron Shaw. So, what do I got to complain about? If they're going to move me up the ladder, which they did as the executioner, they were going to send me at the end of the year, I didn't know this, to California to work out for Mike LaBelle, and they told me this last minute, and I had gotten some advice from some of the guys, S.D. Jones, Bob Backlund, Kowalski, and it didn't sound like a very good thing to do. I decided not to go, and I figured I was going to continue working. Well, Vince had let me go, and I went right to work for Kowalski for his Bedlam from Boston, which was the IWF for 2 years. And I came back with Vince again. He took me back, no problem. I talked to Mr. McMahon, and he was such a great man. He said, Ron, we got a lot of guys on board, but you know what? Come on back. And he took me back. What a great guy to do that. And I ended my career. Well, I didn't end my career until actually 1999, but my WWF reign went from 1984, 5, 6, and 7, and that's pretty much my end of my WWF years. So,
Senior and
that was a story, and I never regret it putting anybody over in this business.
Senior and junior, pleasant to work for. Your experiences?
Yeah, I have to say I never had no problem. Of course he's a very busy man. The opposite of his father. His father was very low key, very, very, nice to talk to. And if you had a problem, I would go to him. I can give you an example. One time we were doing All-Star Wrestling there in Hamburg, Pennsylvania. I did a show in Middletown, Connecticut. It's a funny thing, I can remember the exact town. And I think the payoff was $300 that night. and they would always give you a $50 advance usually. And I did get that night. But I never got paid the rest of that money on that day. So I went into the office. I said, Mr. McMahon, and I always use the word Mr. McMahon. I did get paid for that night. I did get the advance and so forth. And he took out $250 out of his pocket, gave it to me. I didn't have that type of experience with Vince. Not that I was asking money from him, but, we did have talks and so forth. And he was kind of stern in his talks. But I have no problem with Vince Jr. I never did.
Hey, Ron, it's Mike Monty. So it's
Okay.
Question for you. Do you wear the executioner mask and eat a sandwich while you have it on?
What?
You're asking me that question.
Oh my God!
Especially after what I said about 5 minutes ago. Is this a comedy show? Is this a comedy show, Monty?
Oh boy!
Let me tell you something. When I put on that mask, or I didn't put on that mask, I worked hard. Okay, I worked hard. I had my leg broken. Okay, it was pictured in that big nationwide story that Ron Shaw, the legitimacy of his sport. I've broken fingers. I've broken knuckles. I've got a crooked shoulder to this day. And you're going to ask me a question like that? Come on, man, wise up, will you?
All right, I'll ask you a serious question. When David Schultz slapped John Stossel, what did you think was going on with the industry, and what was Schultz like? Was he as crazy as it sounded?
Say that again?
David Schultz?
Yes.
Remember he slapped John Stossel?
You would think, or as tough. Of course the man was tough. He was a bounty hunter. The man was a bounty hunter also. Okay, but professional wrestling is really what made him his money. Okay, he didn't have to go chasing down goons. He came here, and he's got a past. He's a tough guy, man. Tough guy. I've talked to him a few times, but he was also a loner too.
Ron, Hulk Hogan comes along, and I remember your early days in the WWF very clearly. Hogan, of course, before Hulkamania, was also around during those days, the 80, 81 era. When Hogan started to truly become Hogan, did you know beforehand what this man was capable of doing to this business? Did you see the change coming? Were you surprised that it got as big as it did?
Can I just interrupt you one question?
Yeah.
Patrick Rose says F. Cena and Boston Wrestling.
F. Cena and, yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Continue on.
No, very, very good. Fair enough.
Thank you.
Ron, I'm sorry. How did you feel about the rise of Hulkamania? Did you see it coming? And were you surprised how big it got?
I did not see that coming. And when Hogan came in, I don't know how many TVs he had done or how long I was there, but I had a match against him on Championship Wrestling. Mm-hmm. And when we worked in the ring, I don't remember much what we even said about in the dressing room, except that what finish that he uses, which was his leg drop across the throat. We went into the ring, and to me, he just seemed like he was a little lost in there.
Really?
I mean, he did something where he sat me up on the turnbuckle, came over, and just, gave me a nice, gentle little slap on the cheek. And I came down, and if I remember correctly, I got some heat on him, and then we went into the finish. And when he got me back in the dressing room, he says, Ron, I don't know why I tapped you on the cheek like that. And I kind of thought that was kind of a strange thing to say, because here's a guy who's had more experience than me already, even though he might have been working in Atlanta and Minneapolis and so forth. But, to answer your question, did I see it at the time? No. I did not see it at the time. But did it surprise me? No, that he went on to be as big as he could, because, after Bruno, the greatest world champion ever, Hulk Hogan came, and that was another great world champion. And then anybody after that, I couldn't have cared less about him.
You tuned out?
After Hogan, no, WWF died, as far as I was concerned, after Hogan was done with the business. But he was a great star, great talent. He ended up being, and we know the rest of the story.
Ron, is that when you stopped watching wrestling? I mean, after Hogan, like, Attitude Era did nothing for you? Rock, Austin, nothing?
I pretty much, I may have watched it a little bit longer after that. And of course, I was still traveling through the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was doing a whole bunch of shows every month overseas.
Right.
Now, I had a wrestling school after we did the NWF. Me and my partner, A.J. Petruzzi, we were the executioners in the NWF in 1988 and 89. And that dissolved pretty much. And had a wrestling school. And I was ready to give up the business at that time because I was working some shows at the TNA. And just wasn't going anywhere. And I called Kowalski up one day, and I said, "Hey, Walter," I said, "I'm thinking about quitting the business." I could have called Vince up again, but it just didn't seem like, what I wanted to do anymore with the type of flash and stories and crazy storylines I've never even heard of before. And actually, when you watched it, I watched it, it got me disgusted, just like it did to Bruno. There was no place for that in wrestling. And I just called him up. I said, I'm going to quit this business. He goes, "Wait a minute." He goes, "You got a passport?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Look," he goes, "I'm going to pass your name to a promoter. So don't tell anybody that I helped you out here." Because, he had his own school. He had his bookings that he had to get done too. And I wrestled pretty much every month all around the world. I'd go for about maybe 5 to 8, 9 days. And wrestling was still wrestling like it was through the 90s. It just got worse, I guess, in the year 2000 or after I retired. It just got that worse. That's really when I really quit watching. I mean, I probably didn't watch it, but paid some attention to it, right? And that was pretty much it.
Talent enhancement, of course, the modern term for what was known as the jobber. Strange question. Frankie Williams, Steve King, Jose Estrada, Johnny Rods, Angelo Gomez. Should I go on, Mike? Should I go on?
Go ahead.
Guys like this, especially Frankie Williams, do they deserve any consideration for the Hall of Fame from Vince? I know some people are probably already laughing, but I feel like guys like Frankie Williams and yourself, certain people did certain things for a long time over there and did them very well. Any thoughts on the validity of an enhancement talent getting the ultimate nod from Vince?
I have to say, well, Johnny Rods was put in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Right.
And I think rightfully so, because he was with the company.
Right.
When I was a little kid going down to Philadelphia's 46th and Market to watch the TV tapings, he was wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am, years later, wrestling him. He was with the company so long, and he helped get some guys out there. I think he was training a few guys here and there and so forth. And but anyway, he was a very lucky guy. He was booked all the time, and he was deserving. The others, no, not deserving.
Not even poor Frankie?
WWE,
Piper's Pit Frankie?
There's a lot of guys in there that don't belong in there.
Okay.
But yeah.
Like the great Khali? I'm sorry. Did I say that?
So, Ron, people may not know this, but you wrestled in a 3-man tag match when the Freebirds first came up here. I'm a big fan of the Freebirds. What was it like when those guys were coming up, and was there a problem because, they were from down south? Did you have issues with them? And by the way, your partner was Butcher Pete Doherty, right?
Right, that's right. Did I have a problem with them because they were down from the south? Is that what you're asking me?
That's what I asked.
No, why should I? Hey, they were a talent, exciting talent. The place went crazy for them, but I just don't think there was a long-term position for them being a 6-man or a 3-man tag team. That was the only issue, and they didn't last that long. I worked against them again in the Philadelphia Spectrum in my hometown with Rene Goulet and Charlie Fulton again, and they brought the electricity there.
Were they over with the WWE crowd?
again, please.
Were they over with the WWE crowd or audience?
Yes. Oh, yeah, no question about it. Yeah, the people bought that, yeah.
You don't think it could have been Vince minimalizing talent from other areas that were actually, main event types? Because Vince has been known to do that. You think that he might have, watered them down purposely? Any chance?
It's hard. I couldn't give you my opinion on that. I no thoughts on that at all,
Okay, fair enough.
Certainly that was a time when, he owned the company at that time, and he had a mission in mind. He just didn't wake up the next morning and say, "Hey, I'm going to start stealing all the talent."
All right, we'll be right back with the great Ron Shaw after this commercial break.
That's right, folks. Canine Corral for all your dog daycare and overnight care. Call 631-549-1544. That's 631-549-1544. And Nitro's Garage for all your automotive needs. Call 646-675-2349. That's 646-675-2349. For all your automotive needs, Nitro's Garage. Ask for Jack.
In the mood for a freshly roasted cup of coffee? www.offtherailscoffeeroasters.com. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, where we have pro wrestling superstar Big Ron Shaw. We want to thank everybody for joining us tonight.
All right, Ron, I'm going to take over for now. Okay. Hogan, Morales, Backlund, Sammartino. You've seen a lot of great champs. Who was bigger, Sammartino or Hogan? Now, I already know he's your personal favorite, Bruno, but was Bruno bigger than Hulk Hogan in the long run? Your thoughts?
Bruno was bigger in a sense that, he promoted the wrestling. He was the wrestler's wrestler, a man that came out into the ring every night without a jacket, without this, without that, had the championship belt. And that was just as much, as a turn on to the fans as Hulk Hogan coming out and his headband tearing off his shirts and so forth. Mm-hmm. And, in my opinion, I always opted for the wrestling. I'm old school, like a lot of guys still are today.
Sure.
But, I'm not taking nothing away from Hogan. But, of course, my favorite was always Bruno Sammartino. And, at 8 years old, I loved watching him. As a kid, I used to buy wrestling books, and this and that, and everyone had to have Bruno Sammartino in it, of course. And very fortunate to be good friends with Bruno. And unfortunately, I never was able to wrestle Bruno. He did interview me in Allentown when he was the color man when we were doing the international wrestling tapings, and a couple times, I had a match where my tag team partner, who turned on me, and I bled in the ring and so forth, so we had a war, pretty much, me and him, and he interviewed me. But that's the best memory of Bruno I can have is it would have been wrestling him, but he at least interviewed me 2 times during that time. And it's a great memory to have in my lifetime.
Absolutely. Bob Backlund in the middle of Bruno Sammartino and Hulk Hogan. Do you think he doesn't get enough credit, being sandwiched between 2 such large legends?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Did he think that? Who knows? He was champion. How long was he champion for? 3,
almost
4,
6
5
years.
Like that.
Almost 6 years. Yeah.
But he apparently was a very good champion. I wrestled him numerous times. I was the executioner, and I wrestled him for a championship belt in a spot show. And they were crazy for Bob Backlund, because of course of his past amateur status and so forth. So that was a different type of a wrestler, But seems like it worked out in history.
I think so.
Well, Bob,
I think
Bob
so.
was in studio. He's genuinely
Yeah.
a great guy.
He was awesome.
But let me ask you, Ron, since in the land of Ron Shaw rosiness,
Rosie?
Dale Cole, who's been on the show, he's the brother of Tom Cole, who actually took his life about a year ago, had issues with sexual harassment and sued the WWE. It was called the Ring Boy Scandal. Mel Phillips and Terry Garvin. Did you ever hear about these Ring Boy scandals? Did you see this stuff going on? And did you see Mel Phillips and Terry Garvin doing this type of stuff?
Well, here we go again. Again, this is a question that you said you were going to pose to me on the show, and I didn't want to answer this here. I mean, this is a little bit of something that's been in the past already. I don't think your listening audience is interested in hearing about this, especially out of my lips. I don't know nothing about that because, I minded my own business. Okay? I minded my own business.
That's a fair enough answer. So let me ask you this. Someone who didn't mind their own business and went on Donahue and Larry King was your hero, Bruno Sammartino, who certainly and admitted it during these shows that he knew this was going on, but he blamed Vincent Kennedy McMahon for not doing anything about that. Why do you think Bruno didn't use his power to try to stop this?
Well, what power did he really have at that time? If I'm not mistaken, I know they were at odds with each other. I think there was supposed to be a lawsuit against Vince, and I think there was a little settlement on the side that he would do color commentary and so forth. And well, what could he have really done?
That's a fair enough answer. I'm just asking.
And I'm just answering.
Fair enough. Excuse me, Ron. If I can veer off in another direction, during your time period in the early days of working with Senior, there was another up-and-comer that I loved named Quick Draw Rick Mcgraw. Can I get your thoughts on Rick Mcgraw?
Oh, yeah. Rick was a happy-go-lucky guy. I traveled with him a few times, and one time I traveled with him to the Philippines, my first Philippine trip overseas. And there was a lot of turmoil at that time. There was a lot of assassinations and whoever the president was at the time, I can't think back. There was issues with him, scandals and so forth. And, when we were getting off the bus, I can remember this as if it was yesterday. Rick got off the bus in front of me while there was these guards with these machine guns standing there. And he says, "Oh, shit, I can't believe I'm here." I said, "Well, Rick," I said, "I'm right behind you. Don't worry." And, but it was okay. We were pretty much in the hotel most of the time. We were able to go down to the bars and so forth and the districts. And one thing I do remember about Rick is at the end is when we were leaving, I think it was a three week tour. He got sick at the end of a show, and I know he was going to be taken to the hospital. And we flew back without him. He came back later, and then I don't know how many months later he took his own life. And that was a sad thing, but unfortunately it ran in the family, suicide. And it's a shame because I had a lot of good matches with Rick.
I didn't realize that Rick Mcgraw took his own life.
I was aware, but I didn't know it was running in the family, though.
So, Ron, there's no truth to the
That's a bit
rumers
of a
that
revelation.
during his match with Roddy Piper that's what killed Rick Mcgraw.
I didn't know anything about that. I never heard about that. Funny thing.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Ron, thanks for coming on. I've always been a big fan of yours, especially back in the days when we first met. I first met Mr. Monty back in the days when you were, doing the thing By the way, Was this a good-paying job, or did you have to have a side job? Because after I learned that Gary Michael Capetta was really a teacher most of the time, I was very distraught. Did they pay you enough back in those days? I'm serious.
Well, I don't think Gary Michael Capetta had to get paid the type of money that we got paid for just announcing all night.
Right, okay.
We took all the bumps, the bruises, the broken bones, and
Right.
everything like that.
Sure.
And no, I never did have a part-time job because I would have lost my job. I made this a point to have a living, make it a living. And
Cool.
I did. Yeah, there were some down times, and there was a lot of up times. But I knew when to get out of the business. And I did it
Excellent.
for 20 years.
Excellent. All right. This seems more my partner's speed, so please forgive me in advance. Was there anyone that Big Ron Shaw behind the scenes he just wanted to beat their ass? I'm sorry.
Behind the scenes, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing. Nobody really comes to mind.
Okay.
So I guess there wasn't anybody.
Oh.
You know.
It's because he was
I
Big
guess
Ron
there
Shaw.
wasn't anybody.
All right, Ron. Here we go. We had David Sammartino in studio.
Oh, here we.
Maybe his
here we go.
only interview. Oh, here he goes.
What?
All right.
I'm rooting
Whatever.
that he answers
He clears
this
his story.
truthfully.
Listen, let me just ask the question. Can I ask the question?
I've been asked this question 15 times. I've been asked this question, and I've given the same answers. Why don't you just go back and Google my other shows that I was on? There's 14 other shows. But go ahead. Go
All right.
ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, okay? First of all, you're on Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. But so instead, here's the question I'm going to ask you. Instead of with the kayfabe bullshit and acting like he hurt his back, why don't you finally reveal to the fans that Sammartino told you what was going to happen and you did what you had to do because that was your role, and stop keeping this story that you go from show to show going on. Admit it on this show.
Okay. I'm going to tell you something right now. First of all, what I'm going to say about David Sammartino, when he came into the WWF, he was probably the strongest, if not the strongest wrestler that I've ever seen. And especially when you combine that with a great wrestling talent and knowledge of holds and counter holds, this guy was really a superstar. But on a fateful night in November 1985, after two big slugs behind his head, 6 or 7 body slams later, which nobody can take, he walked out of that ring holding his back, and he heard it on his show. He said, I heard his back. I was the better man that night. Now, if you want to believe what he said, you go right ahead and believe what he said. But I've said all I can say about it is that, and here's another thing. You Google anywhere, YouTube, Vimeo, or any other search engine, and watch that match and see the comments below. 99.9% of the fans back Big Ron Shaw. And they know what happened. And some people, that small percentage, they say, well, Ron Shaw stepped in the ring. You can see he's telling Dusty Feldbomber to finish. I remember exactly what I said to Dusty Feldbomber, just to prove you wrong and some of the other fans wrong, is I said, hey, Dusty, it looks like a good sellout tonight. That's what I said. I wasn't telling him any finish because you know what? I had in my mind what I was going to do that night. Because when I heard some type of a rumor going on in that dressing room, I did what I was going to do, the right thing. Now, I hope that answers your question, Monty, Mr. Wise Guy.
Well, let me try it another way. Let me try it this way. Hello, Ron.
No.
Did David Sammartino really hurt you?
It's the kid across the pond.
Or not? Or did you give it up, Ron?
You punk. You punk.
I'm a punk.
Let me tell you something. It wouldn't take me no more than 2.5 hours to fly down there and slap your face all over that damn studio. You understand me? I'm done. I'm done.
Come on, man.
Pharaoh,
Come on, Ron.
man. You were the man.
Bye, Ron.
This should be the Pharaoh and Monty show.
Bye,
and
Ron.
Let me tell you something, Monty. If I ever do a convention down in New York City, I hope you're there. Over and out.
Great. Good interview, buddy. Good choice. That guy was a gentleman. That was a gentleman for you, everybody. The great Ron Shaw.
Wait a minute, Matt.
The great Ron Shaw.
Did he hang up and just disappear just now?
Congratulations. Never again. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Ron Shaw. Anyway, the first leg of the Monty and the Pharaoh Marathon didn't turn out the way it was supposed to be. Look, man, I'm not angry at you, okay? I don't know what I did to piss that dude off. I don't get it. Okay, what I told the story is the truth, but whatever. I want to thank Ron Shaw for at least coming on the show. Thank you. Thank you for answering the questions. Congratulations. Anyway, you're watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, and we want to thank you all for joining us. We're hoping you all join us on Saturday, where we've got a list of great shows coming in. We opened up with...
That looks like Outback Jack.
That's Outback Jack. I'm a little pissed off.
I'm trying to...
The great
you got me
Outback
speechless.
Jack will
Nice
be in
job.
at 4 o'clock. We're asking you all to join. It's going to be wonderful. Followed by
There's Kevin. I see
Kevin Sullivan.
I see Kevin. Hi, Kevin.
Kevin's been in studios, also co-host of In the Dungeon on the Monty and the Pharaoh channel. And after Kevin Sullivan, we're bringing in
That's Dutch.
Man Mountain Rock. I think.
That
No,
looks
Dutch
like Dutch.
Mantel.
I see
okay,
Dutch.
Dutch Mantel. That's going to be a hell of
There
an
we go.
interview.
Yeah, focus, Monty. Focus.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And then we have Man Mountain Rock,
Uh-huh.
which will be incredible.
Uh-huh.
And then we finish off with Buddy Lee Parker.
Nice.
Guys, I'm a little
Nice.
pissed
good.
off right
No,
now. I
that's
have
fine.
to apologize.
That's fine. Did I do? What's all these other things I'm saying? Never mind. I'm seeing other things flying up on the screen. I don't know if they're really going up there.
Was I out of line?
Well, no. When I talked to Ron during the week, I thought that apparently I'm not very good at smoothing things over. So my phone call was fucking meaningless.
You
bro.
didn't even tell me you called him. I had no clue he
Well,
had called.
yeah, but wouldn't you want me to like smooth it over because we wanted to have him on and stuff. Well, I wanted to have him on. Come to think of it, yeah. I guess this is all my fault. Gee,
Well, I'm
thanks.
sorry I ruined that interview for you.
You didn't ruin it. You didn't enhance it too much, but I understand why. I mean, he was like,
Wait a minute. Me asking, do you put your mask on
right, and eat a sandwich.
and eat a sandwich is a funny
I
question.
think it's
was trying to
hilarious.
lighten.
But we've
lighten
seen him because we've seen a mask guy eating a sandwich.
But what I'm trying to say, I was trying to lighten the
Right.
interview up.
Yes, right.
So you didn't like what I said last
Right.
week.
Yeah.
He didn't like the
I got it.
sandwich.
I got
and
it.
then people want to know about San Martino, right?
Of course they do.
Was I out of line about that?
No, you were.
Was I out of line about asking about
No.
Terry Garvin and Mel Phillips?
No. Look, apparently you're not his source, right? I mean, what am I gonna say about that?
Well, I'm a little disappointed. I got to be honest. I'm a little pissed off. I'm pissed off, and I'm a little disappointed.
Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, the guy was mean to you. He was like yelling at you and stuff. What?
What are you making light of it, huh?
Okay. He was, what do you want me to do?
I don't
Making
know. I don't
light
know
of
what I
it?
want you to do, dude.
I don't.
I don't know what I want you to do.
I'm like still in a state of like shock. I don't even really know how to process any
He's
of
a
this.
Machine says starting off this week with a jobber and ending up with a jobber, Buddy Lee Parker.
Oh, this is right. I get the audience.
Davio says Monty came at you right away. Wait, came at you as soon as he came on and
Yeah.
disrespected you.
Okay, you see.
So I should have pulled the plug right then.
So go with Davio. I mean, to give you credit, you let the thing go because you know how much I wanted to have him here. I wasn't.
Well, the fans are looking forward to it. This guy is a legend. He is a legend.
He's
I
big
get
Ron
it.
Shaw.
He's big
Yeah,
Ron Shaw.
That's
I
right.
get it.
I just was hoping that after speaking to him that it wouldn't be this. Yeah, that was a crash on the LIE. Next.
Thomas Pater says, could he wear the mask to protect from COVID?
What? Okay. All right.
Patrick Rose says, why don't you tell Ron what I said? Look like a short order cook.
Ron looks like a short order cook.
I don't know about that, but
What?
Stinger says good stuff. Anyway, want to hope you guys join us Saturday.
Now hold on. Are we drinking on Saturday after this?
I'm drinking.
Because I'm ready to drink.
I'm drinking.
I'm ready to drink right fucking now. I'll tell you that. With the good fucking wine. Right fucking now. Okay? Because one of my all-time favorite talent enhancements came on, and this shit hit the fucking fan. Thank you. No good. No good. By the way,
Davio says he has my back. I think I hurt Maria Davis's
Davio has
feelings.
you?
Maria, if
What do
you're
you mean?
out there, you
What
said
happened?
awful.
Huh?
But then she says my questions were irrelevant. Okay, I don't want to hurt Maria's
Well,
feelings.
no, you better not. But I'll tell you something else. If he comes down to New York, fuck that. I'm out of here like shit through a goose.
Anyway, I want to thank you all for joining us. Fat Boss of Wells Bank, empty bank account.
Fat
Could
Boss
he
of
wear a mask while eating a bear hot dog with no bun? That would have been an excellent question.
Bear hot dog.
With no bun.
Does that mean a skinless hot dog?
Yeah, I guess.
Because you got to take the skin off of it for it to be.
I think asking a masked wrestler, does he eat a
Can't
sandwich with a
anymore.
mask on, is a good question. I think it's professional, and I think
Oh,
it's
wait a
on-
minute. It says right there from a guy named Carlos Los Espada that's an excellent
What do you
question.
bring these guys' names up? Anyway, want to thank you. I mean, brings up guys. If you don't know who that guy is, when we first got
Well,
into
yeah, what's
it,
wrong
he was
with
like the
you?
first guy,
And he ate a
Farrell
sandwich
doesn't forget anybody.
with his
doesn't
mask
forget
on.
anybody.
That was hilarious.
Anyway, I want to thank you all. We will see you Saturday. We got some hot interviews. We are blessed to have you guys in our lives.
Do I have to call anybody else during the week?
No.
Are you sure?
You are no longer booking guests.
Well, apparently I didn't.
You are no longer booking guests.
That wasn't smooth like butter?
Oh, no. You see, that's what I mean.
That was
I
more
call
like...
a guy. He gives me shit. I say
What are you
goodbye.
blaming me for?
And then you call him, and we got to go through this.
No, you just didn't like your speed with your controversy. I like it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry to me. He's the one that's upset with you. And if he comes to New York, I'm hiding. So that's on you. Davio's got your back. Don't worry.
Good night, everybody. God bless.
Yeah. See you later.
Well, send us out.